Hi, good to see you. Welcome to Block 3, Fractions and Percentages of Amounts, Lesson 5. I'll share my screen. In your previous lesson, you learned how to find different percentages of amounts using calculator. This is going to be your last lesson of Block 3. So in today's lesson, you're going to learn how to solve problems with fractions greater than 1 and percentages greater than 100. So it's a very interesting lesson. So when you hear numbers, for example, like 125% of an amount, how do you think about this number and how do you work things out? So I want to ask you to like the video, share it with those you think can benefit. Click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell so that when new videos are uploaded, you'll be notified. Thank you. All right, before we start, I would like you to do these retrieval practice questions in 3 minutes. Okay, assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, here are the retrieval practice questions, the answers. So here, for the first one, you're asked to work out 3/4 of 120. Well, we can do this mentally. A quarter is to divide by 4. To divide by 4 means to halve and to halve again. So if we have 120, that will be 60. Half of 60 will be 30. Now that we know a quarter, 3/4 will be 3 lots of that, or 3 times a quarter, which is 90. So 3 times 30 will give us 90. Next, you're asked to find 60%. So we can find 50%, which is to have something. So to find 50% of 800 is 400. You can find 10%, which is to divide by 10. So if you add 50 to 10, you get 60. So that will be 400 plus 80, which will be 480. Here, you can quickly find 1% by dividing by 100. To divide by 100 means to divide by 10 and then divide by 10 again. So if you divide 720 by 10, that will be 72. If you divide 72 by 10, that will be 7.2. Here, to find 99% should not be a challenge. We already know 1%. So 99% is 100, which is the whole amount, 100%, which is the whole amount, minus 1%. So one way to do this is to say, okay, I'm going to subtract 7.2 from 720. Okay? That will give you 712.8. Okay, let's do some new learning. If I ask you to label this, so if the whole lot is 100%, what will this shaded part be? Of course, you will say 50%. What about this one? If I say the whole lot is, this part is 100%, what would you say this part, the whole block, to the 2 blocks attached will be? Of course, you will say is 100%. So the whole block has to be 200%. So we're using the bar model to help us understand how to view or how to imagine percentage that are greater than 100. Okay, let's look at this one. If I say the whole bar, the whole bar is 100%, what would you say this part is? Well, if the whole bar is 100%, we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. So it means each of these has to be 20. Now, if each of these is 20, then this has to be 80, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3, so 4 lots of 20. Okay, what about this one? If we say this part is 100, what will the whole bar be? What value will the whole bar model be? So here we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it means if these 4 parts is equal to 100, so each part which they are equal is going to be 25. So the whole lot will be 125%. Okay, if I ask you to find 125% of 60, how would you think about this using your bar model? It's quite straightforward. So we say, well, 125% is actually 100 plus 25%. Now, if we represent this in a bar model, it will be helpful to start thinking in lots of 25. So say, okay, 100% represents the actual amount we're working with. So actually, if we think in lots of 25%, this whole lot is 100%. So each of these represents 60. Sorry, the whole bar, the 4 bars represent 60. And each of these is 25% because the whole lot represents 160 represents 100%. So now the whole bar, to get what each of these is worth, we'll say 60 divided by 4. And then that will be 15, 5 times 15 to get the whole lots of the 5 bars. So in this case, to get what these 5 bars is worth will be 15 times 5, which is 75. But I want you to think about this in a different way. So if I say you should find 125% of 60, what this means is 125% is 100% plus 25%. So 125% of 60 actually means that we already have 100%. We just need to add 25% of this amount to it. That's what it means. So that's why you see this is 75. Because if I do exactly the same thing, but without the bar model, you check this out. 125% means what I already have plus the additional amount on top of the 100%. So you know how to find 25% by now. To find 25% means to divide by 4. And to divide by 4 means you have and you have again. So in this case, if I have 60, that is 30. And if I have 30, again, that would be 15. Now, remember I said 125% means what I had before plus the percentage that is on top of the 100, the percentage that is on top that I need to add to the 100%. So I already had 60 before because I was told to find 125% of 60. 60 represents 100%, so plus 25%, which is 15, and that gives me 75. It's the same approach we use because I want to really extend your learning when we do really large amounts. So let's say, for example, we're told to find 225% of 60. Okay. All right. Now, 225% of 60. Remember, when we had 125, when we had 1, we say, well, 60 times 1. So that's how you think about it. You already had 60. So 60 and that 1. Yeah. Now we have 225. So it's going to be 2 lots of 60. So we already have 120 plus 25%, which is 15. So 225% of 60 is 135. And you can check this using your calculator. Okay. So 225% means 225. Remember, percentage is like a fraction divided by 100 times 60. My pen is moving around. Why? Okay. So times 60. Okay. Now, if you do this, so that goes, all right. So I'm just going to use my calculator to do it real quick. So 225 times 6 and divide by 10. You see that it's 135. So it's really important you understand how this process works when you're working. So if somebody say, oh, find 400 and let's say 430%, for example, 430% of, let's say, 60, what do? You say, okay, I need 4 lots of 60. I already have that on the side. Then I need to work out 30% of 60 and add it to 4 lots of 60. So it's a very important concept you need to pay attention to. Okay, let's now look at fractions. And it's the same approach. So if, for example, we're told this hold the 2 bars make 1, so this has to be half and the other part has to be half. But if we're told that this one is 1, of course the other part has to be 1, so that's 2. Now, if we have this and we're told that, well, this is 1, the whole lot is 1, then remember we have 5 parts. So it means 4, that part will represent 4 out of the whole lot, which is 4/5. Okay. What about this one? If we're told that this is 1, so we have 4 parts, which is equal to 1, it means that the other part has to be 5/4. Why? If these 4 parts make 1, we know that each has to be a quarter. Yeah. 1/4, 1/4. So this has to be 1/4. Now, if we add all of them up, we'll have 5 quarters, and that's what it means. Okay. What if we're told to find 5/3 of 60? How do you think about this? 5/3 of 60 simply means that the whole lot, you have 3 parts which represent 60. That's what it means. Okay. So we need to now extend it to say, okay, what about the other parts? Because you can see 5/3 is an improper fraction. So there must be other parts. So again, we extend it. We say, well, it's going to have other equal parts, which will be thirds. All right. And so if 3 parts is equal to 60, then 1 part will be 20. And so the other parts will have to be 20 as well. And then that will be 5 lots of 20, which is 100. So 5/3 of 60 is 100. Another way I want you to think about this to extend your learning is that, remember when we did fraction of amount, I told you something really that you need to really pay attention to. It should be stuck in your mind. So remember, we divide by the denominator and we multiply by the numerator. So this actually is the same thing as saying 5 times 60 divided by 3. We know that 3 can divide 60 to give us 20, and 5 times 20 is 100. So I want you to always know that when you have a fraction of amount, even if it's an improper fraction, okay, or a top-heavy fraction, you divide with the denominator and you multiply with the numerator. So without using the bar model, you could still think about this really efficiently. All right, pause the video and answer questions 1 and 2 in 2 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 1 and 2, here are the answers. So mark your work and celebrate your success. So here you can see if these 5 bars represent the 100, then each has to be 20. So which means this extra one has to be 20. Here, if it's 4, then it has to be 25. That extra is 25. Here, if it's 3, then each has to be, so the whole lot, just this is 100. So that other 3 has to be 100 as well. So the whole lot is 200. And it's the same approach here. So that each should be 50. So this other 3 should be 150. So 100 plus 150 is 250. And then here you're required to use the bar model in the question to calculate the values. So 120% of 60 will be 72. Okay, so here are the answers. Okay. So for this one, just to demonstrate it, 120% of 60, all right? So it means dividing by, so 100%, okay? Remember what I explained to you, 100% represents this whole lot. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Then if, 100% represents 60, 20% of 60 is going to be 12, all right? So 60 plus 12 will be 72. Yeah. All right. Here are the pause the video and answer questions. Question 3 in 2 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered question 3, here are the answers. So mark your work and celebrate your success. So if this is 1, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it means each of these is 1/5. If we add another 1/5, okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5/5. Okay, so the extra one will be 6/5. And then if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, so that will be a quarter. Each will be a quarter each. We add another quarter, that will be 5 quarters. And that's how we did these ones. Yeah. Okay. Pause the video and answer questions 4 and 5 in 2 minutes. Or you can take longer. You can use 3 minutes. It's up to you. Work according to your own pace. All right. Assuming you've, answered the questions, here are the answers. All right. So you're told to use bar models in question 3 to fill in the missing values. So by now, you should know how to work this out. In my opinion, I think you can just use the approach I've told you. Divide by the denominator, multiply by the numerator. Okay? But you could use the bar model as you were told to answer these. So here, question 5. I scored 120% on my test. Is this possible? No. Okay. Your test should be a maximum of 100 marks. Okay, so here she says my test score is 120% of what it was last time. Okay, is this possible? Yes. So she could have have a test score that was more, 20% more than what she got the last time. So this is what this means. All right. Pause the video and answer questions 6 and 7 in 3 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 6 and 7, here are the answers. So here you are asked, a kitten was weighed when it was born. After 2 weeks, the kitten's weight had increased by 160%. By what fraction had the kitten's weight increased? So what you simply do is you have 160%, which is 100 over 160 divided by 100, and then you simplify. So 16 over 10, if you divide that by 2, that will be 8. If you divide that by 2, that will be 5. So by 8/5. Okay, a bottle of orange juice contains free extra juice as a special offer. So 3/4 extra free. You can see the bottle of juice. What percentage is the new amount of the original amount? Okay, so the original amount is always a whole lot, 1. So if you're adding a new amount, is 1/3, which is 175%. Remember, 3/4 is 75%. So what they've done is they have made the bottle slightly larger. So you're now getting, for the same price, 175% quantity. What fraction is the new amount of the original amount? Okay, again, you simplify. Simplify the fraction, 175 over 100, and then you simplify the fraction, which will give you this. Okay, I think that is 7/4. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Pause video and answer questions 8, 9, and 10 in 4 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 8, 9, and 10, here are the answers. So here you were asked match the equivalent cards. So by now you should know how to work with fractions and their equivalent percentages and their decimals. I would highly suggest that you should go over this again if you do not understand how we got the answers. Okay, so you could simply use your calculator to check this. All right, y3/2 is 1.5. y6/5 is 1.2. Okay, you may not really need a calculator because these are fractions that you should recognize. So remember, for example, this one, 5/4. Remember, 4/4. This comprises 4 lots of 4/4 and a quarter. So this will be a quarter is 0.25. So this has to be 1.25. All right. So by now you should get used to this. And then here, the population of rhino has decreased by 143% over the last 50 years. Is the newspaper article accurate? Okay. So the population of rhinos has decreased by 143% over the last 50 years. Okay. Do you think something can decrease more than what it was? So we always have, so if we have, for example, if I have, let's say 1,000 rhinos, if the rhinos are completely gone, it means 100% is completely gone. So is it possible that you're going to have 143% decrease, okay, of the rhino population? So you think about that. Okay, question 10. Dexter receives a 125% increase in his pocket money. Dexter's pocket money has been multiplied by 1.25 because 125% is equivalent to 1.25. Explain the mistake that Eva has made. So here is what the mistake Dexter. So it has increased by 125%. So 100% plus 125% is what should actually be used. And it's been multiplied. It should be multiplied by 2.25%. So let me explain this even a bit more. So remember, Dexter already had 100%. Okay, whatever Dexter had is 100%. Now it's increased by 125%. So we need to add this to what Dexter had before. So that's why it should be 225% as what we need to be working with, using to multiply what Dexter had before to find the actual amount that Dexter will have after the increase. That brings us to the end of our lesson. So what have we learned so far? We have learned that for percentage, for working with a percentage greater than 100, always remember, for example, if you're asked to find 125% of, let's say, 60, a very quick way to think about it is you already have 60 as the 100. Then what you need to do is to work out 25% of the 60 and add it to 60. All right. If you ask, for example, to work out 225% of 60, you say, okay, I already have 2 lots of that 60, which represents the 200%. I just need to work out 25% of the 60 and then add it on to the 2 lots of 60. So which will be 25% plus 2 lots of 60, which is 120 to give you 135%. So you can think about this, use different percentage formulations, different percentage amounts to practice so that you really understand the concept. And then for fractions, if you're told that you should find 5/3 of, let's say, 10, or let's use a really simple number, let's say 5/3 of 60, always know that, remember what we did with fractions, multiply with the numerator and divide with the denominator to keep it really simple and straightforward if you don't understand the bar model concept. Really well done for sticking around and for taking your learning seriously. Until next time, take care of yourself and bye-bye.